workshop. Jessalyn Basco is an instructor at the University of the Philippines, Manila, handling courses in arts, culture, and heritage, including communication, popular culture, graphic arts and design, and digital arts. She graduated magna cum laude at the same university with a bachelor's degree in Philippine arts, major in cultural heritage and arts management in 2018. She did her internship at the National Museum of the Philippines and briefly worked at the Metropolitan Museum of Manila in collections management. She is currently finishing her master's degree in architectural studies at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. With warm excitement, let's welcome Ma'am Jessalyn Basco. Let's give her a virtual round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you, JP or Jappy. Meron akong ilang familiar na name, pero I think sa wika ko, kasama si Jappy, naging estudyante itong mga ito, hindi pa sa digital arts and graphic design. So maraming salamat, Jappy and Ma'am Labor. So ngayon, magpo-proceed tayo sa workshop. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Kung meron kayong katanungan in between the workshop, pwede naman kayong magtanong. For today's workshop, we will be try to make patterns from the different Philippine flora in the Philippines. So I'll give you some references that you can use as a basis for it. For the workshop, let me share screen. Here we go. I will be using Adobe Photoshop. So if you have that application, you can open it now. If not, you can use this one as an alternative. Here. So yung Autodesk, pwede nyo namang gamitin kung sakaling wala kayo noong Photoshop. All right. Okay. So, ang i-drawing natin ngayon again is Philippine flora. I have these references that you can use. Kung kayo ay eksperto na o medyo marunong ng mag-drawing, digital man or traditional, you can choose the more complicated one. Ito yung gumamela. Kung hindi naman, pwede ninyong piliin yung pandakaki. So ito yung gagamitin nating references for today's workshop. We share screen here. So again, yung mga mas advanced na mga kasama dito sa workshop, maaaring ito. Yung hindi masyado, maaari namang ito. Yung mga bulaklak lang naman yung bibigyang pansin natin. Okay, so far meron bang questions or clear naman lahat? Any questions? None? So let's proceed. Okay, so let me open Photoshop there. And then let's create a new file for this one. 2000 by 2000 is fine, 1000 by 1000 is fine. If you're planning to print your work better, na ganun yung dimensions para hindi siya lumalabo. Kung masanay kayo sa inches, for example, you can also use that. So for today's workshop, since it will be brief, around an hour lang, we will do the pandakaki. Pandakaki. There. And then on another window, you can open file, open your reference. Here. All right. Okay, so when drawing with reference, you want to have it beside your canvas. So I usually put it here, but you can also put it around here, however you're comfortable. Okay. That. And then we can just choose which one we want to draw today. Perhaps the easiest one would be this one. So we can draw this one. Let me zoom that in. Nakikita nyo naman, tama? Is it visible
Yes
to
po, Prof.
everyone? All right, thank you, JP. Okay, so when drawing or painting, either digitally or traditionally, you can make your canvas a bit more neutral, not too light, not too dark. Kung hindi kayo familiar, if you are not familiar with Photoshop shortcuts, ang shortcut usually is for fill, it's G. Usually, same din yun with other applications like yung shinare ko kanina, sketchbook. Brush is letter B, eraser is letter E. Usually, yun lang naman yung mga gagamitin natin for today. For the lasso tool, which is this one, letter L kadalasan yung shortcut. And sa recent versions ng Photoshop and yung iba ding mga applications, ini-include na nila yung shortcut dun sa gilid. Like this one, which is very useful kapag hindi pa kayo sanay. So again, yung workshop, in a way, medyo ginawa ko siyang mas simple since assuming na hindi lahat ay eksperto or not used to graphic arts and design and digital arts in general. So fill that in, or siguro mga gray yung gagamitin natin. Same with traditional art, it would be preferable if you start with a non-white canvas unless mas sanay na talaga kayong gumamit. Kasi nandun din yung contrast. So yung masyadong maputi, for example, kung minsan yung napiperceive nating color. Kasi hindi naman white yung background ng reference natin kadalasan. So that would be helpful. As for drawing, you can use your phones or you can use your tablet if you want to. Some tablets can also be attached or used by both laptops and smartphones nowadays. So yeah, so we can start drawing this one. So I hope you can also do it alongside with me. So we can draw this flower. All right, so let me teach you some things. Okay, so select your brush, and then just in case you're not familiar with the brush presets, you can open your brush settings. And some things that you can play with is this one. For example, you can make it a bit more slanted, like that. You can also play with the shape dynamics if you want to. And then transfer if you want to have some differences in the opacity. So for example, this one. If I'm painting something like this, depending on the pressure on the tablet or whatever you're drawing on, it will be a bit different, which mimics the experience with drawing traditionally and is very helpful for a lot of people. Okay. So since this is white, we can try painting with that. You can also use the color picker tool, although I wouldn't really recommend that if you want to train your eyes with identifying the values. You can also paint this in, if you are already an artist, in the style that you're used to. But this is one of the methods that I use. So I usually start with the bigger shapes, with a bigger brush, of course. So when painting subjects, be it flowers or people, it would help to identify the bigger forms first. Like so. And then again, it would be useful if you can memorize or be used to the shortcuts for the tools. So again, for eraser, it's E. For the brush, it's B. So there. I hope, if not all of you, some of you are drawing along so that we can share your works later. Okay. It helps that when you're starting to draw, whatever your object is, you don't focus yet on the details. You can focus on the details later because sometimes we can get too caught up in the details and then we're ignoring the proportions of our subject. Okay. So So right now we roughly have the shape that we like. We can clean up the edges accordingly. There. Alternating between the brush and the eraser. There we go. Okay, what we can do afterwards is set this to, we can put a stroke unless you want it to be plain like this. Parang Vibe is more painted. If you want something, some lines, you can do this one. So edit and then go to stroke and then identify how much. For a 2000 by 2000 dimension of the canvas, you can do 6 pixels for it. Then set it to black. Oops, meron pala akong hindi nabura doon. Let me erase that one. Mhm. For the color picker, you can use I and then just go back to brush afterwards. Okay, there we go. And go back to this, G, save. Oops. Okay, and then also don't forget to save your work. Every time if there is a big update, for example, or edit, save it. All right, next is what are the other identifying characteristic of this one? The center, which is color yellow. So we can add that here simply by selecting this color. And then since it is a bit merging with the other parts of the flower, we can use the soft round pressure opacity brush. Okay. Oops, wrong layer. Here. Like so. For the darker area, we can just use the same brush as well. Here. Something like that. Yeah. Okay, and zoom it out. And we can go back to the one that I mentioned earlier. If you want some strokes in your drawing, that's fine. You can do it by selecting edit and then stroke, identify the width and the color, and then set it. So it's a bit easier to draw it. Okay. Now we can try to clear things up, focusing now on the details. So here. One thing that you'll notice as we go along is that the brush will change the shape, although in general it will get smaller and smaller as we get into more of the details. So here. The brush that I personally use is this one, hard round pressure opacity, although you can use whichever brush you're more comfortable with. This one, and then as usual you can always tinker with the brush settings accordingly. This one here. So okay. Oops. Let me open that and resend this one. So, here. Okay, so another detail in this particular flower is these lines from the center. You can do that with a darker color, smaller brush. Perhaps this is enough. Yeah. Okay. And here, around here, and around here. You can clean up your work by alternating between the brush and the color picker tool. We will not be cleaning it that much since we only have, again, we're only planning to do this by around an hour so we can get to the pattern making part. So there. And then make sure that everything's clear around the object that we're painting. So just erase that. Okay. So again, we'll be keeping it simple for this workshop, but you can make this, you can clean this more. Actually, if you want to, you can add more shading here and here, for example, and more details. Okay, so what we'll do is disable the backgrounds so that it will be transparent, and then go to File, Export, and then export to PNG. PNG so that there will be no background for it. The background will be transparent. That would be helpful, especially if you want a background for the pattern that is different to the background that you're painting with right now. So for example, in our case, we painted with gray. If we want to change it later on, it would be easier if it is transparent. So always, don't forget to always paint on a separate layer from your background. Okay, now that we have that, by the way, if you painted on different layers, for example, you painted the center on a different layer, don't forget to merge it. We only need the object to be in a single layer. Okay, now how to make patterns from it. I will show you at least three methods. So the easiest method is this. So we can open a new document depending on which size you want. For me, I will open this one. All right. And then what we'll do is open the file that we used earlier. So File, let's see, Open, and then open the PNG file that we did. But if you still have it open here, you can just drag it. So click and then drag it here. It will be on a separate layer. Put it in the center, more or less. So enable your settings as well, your smart guides. There. It's in the center. What we'll do afterwards is filter, and then we will go with other. Oops, sorry. Duplicate this layer first. Duplicate it so that we don't have to do it earlier. And then the duplicate, you will do what I said earlier. So go to filter, other, offset, and then the usual setting that Photoshop will set is half of it, which is what we need in this case. So for example, the half of 2000, since this is 2000 by 2000, is 1000. So just do 1000. If you used a 1000 by 1000 canvas, set it to 500 and 500. So there. Okay. And then File. After that, we can File and then Edit, Define Pattern. If you want the background to be white. If you want it to be transparent, again, disable that. And then go back to Edit, Define Pattern, and then name it what you want. So for example, it's Panda Khaki. There. Okay. So how do we use this pattern that we made? So we will open another document. For example, we will be posting it in web. There. So what we'll do is go here. For example, sa baba. And then pattern. And then select the pattern that you made, which is this one. You can scale it accordingly. For example, we can scale it to this or this, there. You can also change the angle if you want to. There. Is everything clear so far? Or does anyone have any question? No one? Okay, so I'm assuming it's clear. All right. And then again, if you want a background for it, a separate background, you can just fill that in. Oops, set it to the background. Hold on. There we go. Oh, it's not looking for this one. Let me just open another one. Phone. There. This one, this one, this one, this one. Okay. And then again, for the background, you can change it accordingly. Like red, for example, or you want it to be something else. Another trick is to, if you can't get the color that you want, you can use Control B, which is the color balance. For example, I want that red to be a bit different than the one I got from this one. So we can do that. You can also use Control U. If you want to be darker here, lighter here. So there are a lot of different options here. The saturation can also be changed here. Okay. There, so that's one method. If that is not available, if the offset is not available in the software that you're using, what you can do is just set, so cut it into 4, or at least identify the center of your image and then divide them accordingly to the corners. So that's another method that you can use. Another one is, for example, you have a previous work that you want to add with it. Kasi yung pattern naman natin, hindi lang naman siya isa. We can play with different elements. So we can just close that. No? No. Okay, so let's open another there. And then the one that I made is this one. Those here. Earlier this morning, is this one. For example, you have a sketch like this one. You can also do that. Okay, so what we can do is open this one, add a new layer, and then drag your item there. For example, this one. And then turn this one on. Window, sorry, view, and then pattern preview. Okay. Nakita nyo dun sa kanina may nakalagay naman sa work siya with smart object. So make this, turn this into a smart object. Right-click your layer and then convert to smart object. So every time, let's zoom it out so that you can see. Every time that you move your object, this is your canvas. This is what we're working on. You will see what kind of pattern you're creating. So there, for example, and then we want to add this gumamela. Just drag again yung pattern if some of you chose the gumamela for it. To make this smaller, a quick way is transform. So Control T, select the object, Control T, and then do that. Turn it around, rotate it, enter if you're done. And then, for example, I also prepare this one, the rosebud. You can also drag it here, there. We want to put it here, for example. Like that. Okay. For example, you just want to fill it in with this one, that's also fine. There. And then that can be a pattern of itself. Then we can add another element. So for example, this one, like this one. You can do it here. Yep. We can turn this one. You can also do that one. Okay. If you want to. All right. Any questions so far? And then for the background, we can zoom it in. For example, we want to have some leaves on the background. We can just create a layer at the bottom of everything. And then let's say we want it to be this color. Set the brush to this one, for example. Then we want to just draw simple, more abstract leaves. We can just draw it like this, and then it will appear everywhere on the canvas. Okay, as a pattern again. Like so. Here too, can add it there. And here. There, something simple. Now that we made that, for example, and then we want to change the color of the background again, just fill it in. So again, fill is here, the paint bucket tool, similar to paint. So there, if we wanted to make yellow, make it yellow, for example, peach is something here, there, we can also do that. There. Then afterwards, we have the pattern more or less. Don't forget to merge all of the layers. So click on this and then merge down. Okay. And then again, edit, same thing. Edit and then go to define pattern. Then we can name it Panda Kaki and Lumamela. There. And then open the file that you want to apply it into. So for example, this one. Okay, again, add this one and then pattern, select this one. Okay, scale it to whatever scale you want it to be. For example, that's too small. So maybe around 20 there. Then we can again adjust the angle like so. And that's a pattern by itself. Okay. And every time you open Photoshop, you will be able to access your pattern. So for example, if you're drawing a character and you want them to wear a clothing like this, for example, you can just mask it in. That would be fine. So let me try that actually. File, open. Yep. This one, yeah. Let's try it for this one. Okay, so for example, you have something like this. What you can do is, hold on, let me, this one. Clear the background, probably, that would be helpful. So for example, select this one. Okay. For example, I want this to be a pattern. What we can do is add an adjustment layer. So same thing that we did before, pattern. And then let's identify the pattern. For example, this one. Want it to be like so. Let's make it 18. That's enough. Okay. Then what you can do is something like this, for example. That's masking. So what you'll do is right click and then create clipping mask. Or a shortcut is Control-Alt-G. That's also fine. You can tinker with the opacity, for example, if you want to. Again, this is a very, very simple, simple example. Okay. And then afterwards, you can just rasterize it so that you can erase or remove it from the areas in which you don't want it to be. So for example, the face there. You just want it to be on the clothing, then that would be it. Something like that. And we can go back to the opacity and yeah. So that's one use of the pattern. Again, very simple example. You can use it in more ways. So for example, for a post on the internet. For example, we have this kind of template. Let's say there. Oops. We want it to have frame, for example, and then the pattern will be inside. That is also possible. So fill this in with a color. Let's say this color, no stroke. Sorry. This color for that. For the stroke, none. Let's assume that this is a frame. And then this is where you want to put your pattern on. Okay. Rasterize this layer. And then again, do the same thing. So you can create that layer and then a pattern. Choose the pattern. This one in our case. So for example, this one, we want to use this one. Okay. And then here. There. Rasterize it again. And then Control-Alt-G. So it will only be in the area that you identified here. Okay. And then again, you can move it around if you want to. You can rotate it using what I shared earlier, the transform tool. That's also fine. Okay, so far, is there any question or is everything clear? Any questions? None? All right, here we go. Okay, so another method is, for example, you just were able to make a sketch. Halimbawa, let me open a file. Oops, file, open, downloads. This one. So for example, this one is just a sketch, nothing more. It's just the sketch of the gumamela. I haven't colored it in. You can also use this one. So I think some of you have encountered this kind of designs. So for example, you can just paint a big blob of color on it. So something like pink, for example, this one here. And then you can just create the layer underneath it and just draw that blob of color, for example, if you want to. That's also fine. Usually, ito yung madalas kong makita dun sa mga applications. Meron lang siyang parang blob of color on a sketch. And then this one, we can just save again and then make it into another pattern. So for example, turn this off, file, export to PNG so that it will be transparent. Then save it as this one. Okay. Yep, sure. All right. Okay. Now, what we'll do is create a pattern from it. So, again, same thing, file, new, then kung ano man yung size ng canvas ninyo. Tapos, just drag it in here. Just a review of what we did basically. So don't forget to merge layers and then drag it in here. Let's say there. And then go to window. View and then pattern preview. Okay. Right click on the area where the object is and then convert to smart object. Zoom out just so that we can see everything that is happening. So there, for example, like so. Like that. Enter. And then again, edit, and then define pattern. The name is Gumamela. Let's say tree. And then you can use it anywhere you want. So again, new, and then the file, create an adjustment layer, pattern, choose the pattern that we made, which is this one, and then choose the scale that you want it to be. So for example, 24. Adjust the angle accordingly as you want, and then that's it. That's the pattern that we have created. So any questions? Or is everything clear? Or you're able to follow through? Oh. Yes? None so far? All right. Hello. Maybe anyone can share what they were able to make? A drawing or a pattern itself. We can make a pattern out of your drawing if you weren't able to follow the instructions so far. We can do that as well. Yes. Si Ma'am Levy kaya able to do it as well.
Hindi ko na download yung file, Jess. I was hoping to. Ayan, si Naomi yata. Ayan.
Okay, Brad.
Traditional.
Traditional is also fine. Do you want to share your drawing or not? Are you comfortable with it? We can make a pattern with it naman. Digital naman is just a medium. So you can use them both. So for example, for me, sometimes it's hard to draw digitally. Sometimes it's harder to draw traditionally. It depends on the mood. So sometimes if it's harder to draw digitally, I draw traditionally and then I scan it afterwards and then just make some changes digitally. So for example, yung iba kong sketch, yeah, sure, Naomi, you can just send it here. Yep, you can. Just yung file, tapos yung merong parang document icon, and then you can send it there. We can do that. Nung estudyante ko, wala pa kaming scanner. So, actually, picture yung ginagamit ko noon to draw. Meron kasing scan, di ba, sa phone. So, just phone and then yung phone na application na scanner. Then, just do it. Tapos, i-clear na lang doon sa digital, in a digital way. Ayun, si Naomi din daw, also scan kapag traditional. And then, kapag naman hindi kayo expert sa pag-drawing, kung meron naman kayong photo, pero syempre, just take note, if you're gonna sell yung inyong products, for example, from the pattern, make sure lang na yung photo is sa inyo. Pero ipapakita ko sa inyo yung sample na pwede namang mula na lang sa image din. Just in case hindi eksperto yung lahat sa pag-drawing. So, open ko lang din yung Photoshop habang iniintay natin yung kay Naomi. All right, so share screen here and here. Just a quick sample. So halimbawa meron kayong image like this. Diba? Tapos hindi naman kayo eksperto sa pag-drawing and gusto nyo ring mas realistic siya. So pwede namang lasso tool na lang yung gamitin ninyo tapos select nyo tong flower na to. So halimbawa na lang this one. You can use the polygonal one. And then just click on it. Pwede to sa mouse. So yung mga mouse users, ayan, maaari. Kapag smoother, yung feather sa taas, pwede ninyo i-identify. In-identify ko lang is 2. So, medyo hindi natin i-clear ng maayos. Pwede nyo itong gawin ng mas mabagal, syempre, kapag sa sarili nyo lang oras. There.
Anong gamit mo ngayon, Jess? May mouse ka or kamay mo lang yan?
Pwede pong kamay or pwede ring pen, pwede ring mouse. Pero usually yung mouse work naman po for it. So kapag, for example, wala po kayong pen, wala kayong tablet, hindi screen touch yung inyong laptop, ganyan, or tablet, then ito yung pinakamadali sigurong pamamaraan. Which is yung from the photo, meron kayong lasso tool na gagamitin. So parang ganyan. So try lang po natin na hiwalay itong si flower. Okay. So there. Ang ginagamit ko ngayon is yung polygonal lasso tool. So, nandito siya sa gilid. Yung shortcut for this is L. Pwede rin siyang lasso tool kung meron kayong pen. Para pwedeng yung i-draw na lang around it. So, ayun. Meron tayong ganito. Tapos mag-open lang tayo ng file. Kunyari magdodrawing tayo pero ang gagawin lang natin is i-drag lang natin siya. So, here. And then, nandito na yung flower. So, syempre, hindi siya ganun kalinas kasi mabilis lang natin ginawa. Pero kapag mas kinagaan nyo siya, syempre, mas maayos yung photo na makukuha ninyo. So, for example, yan, meron ka ng flower na ganyan. And then, pwede nyo nang gawin yung ginawa natin kanina. So, halimbawa, duplicate natin to. Here, duplicate layer, there. And then, ang gagawin natin is filter, other, offset, tapos yung half na value. Ganyan. Tapos, ang gagawin natin again is edit, and then define pattern. So for example, pang ilan na ba natin tong panda kaki? Perhaps 3. So mag-open lang tayo ulit ng bagong file para lang makita ko sa inyo yung preview of it. So ayan, pattern. So ito yung ginawa natin from the image. And then ang scale is ganito. So see? Meron na kayong pattern kahit hindi kayo expert mag-drawing. Pero again, for this one naman, kailangan meron kayong photo. And kapag personal use, talaga namang practice nyo lang, pwede kayo mag-search ng image. Pero for example, meron kayong balak na itinda halimbawa yung gagawin nyo from the pattern. Like, gagawin nyo siyang tote bag, ganyan. Then make sure lang na pagmamayari ninyo yung photo. Siyempre. Ayun, merong nag-share ng picture, I think. There, nag-work naman for Gab. Hello, Gab. I think student din kita sa isang class. So, there. And also, pati yung kanina, actually. There, that worked. That's good. At least, nakasunod ka naman. First time nyo bang gumawa ng pattern or meron na kayong experience on it? Canva on iOS. Okay. Let's see. Pwede bang i-share yung sa'yo, Gab, or not? Okay, always. Procreate, yeah. All right, there. Merong shinare doon si Gab. Hindi ko lang sure kung pwedeng i-share with kung comfortable siyang i-share with everyone. But he was able to make a pattern of it. Okay lang ba, Gab, or not? At least for Labor, perhaps, since naka-direct message lang. No? Where's Naomi? Naomi's still here.
Here
Ayun,
in the meeting.
Ayun, simple lang naman. Pero ayun, hindi naman kailangan sobrang ganda din noong inyong drawing since you're starting.
Nice.
Simple. Yeah.
Nasa chat box, shinare ni Gab. Ang ganda actually.
Yes po. And sa presentation, syempre, pwede nyo rin siyang gamitin. So yung mga presentations nyo, for example, as a student, actually, hindi ako gumagamit ng template. Sarili ko ding yung kinukutingting ko. So pwedeng ganun yung gawin nyo na explorations. Creative exploration. Gamitin nyo siya sa iba't ibang mga, kahit gawain nyo sa klase. So for example, madalas naman merong presentation, di ba ma'am? So pwedeng gamitin nyo siya sa background. Siyempre, save nyo lang siya doon sa dimensions, kung ano man yung dimension, for example, ng PowerPoint presentation ninyo. So, ayun. Yung kay Naomi, kaya na-scan na? Or meron pa bang ibang magbabahagi? Roughly yun lang naman. Kailangan nyo lang tandaan yung mga ginawa natin. So, again, different ways to make a pattern para instead na mamanu-manuhin mo siya na ulit-ulitin mo siya everywhere, isa-select mo na lang yung pattern. Tapos, kung gaano siya kalaki, and then pwede mo pa siyang i-rotate and change the background and everything. I hope everything was clear. Meron namang naka-follow. So I guess medyo malinaw naman more or less yung naging workshop for today. Yung iba siguro nahihiya lang mag-share or hindi pa masyadong gamay yung digital arts. Yes, ma'am. And then si Ma'am Levy, baka gagawa siya in the future.
Pag may app na, wala. Una app dapat. Yeah. Oo, pero sige, baka by next Flores de Mayo, Jess.
Sige, ma'am, aantabayanan ko po.
Natin, i-bucket list natin yan. for next Flores de
Mm.
Mayo.
For sure.
Oo.
Ayan. Okay, I think yun lang naman po yung very, very brief. So, pwede nyo i-practice on your own time yung paggawa ng pattern. Ginawa ko lang din simple actually yung workshop for today just in case marami sa inyo is hindi used to it. And then kung meron naman kayong questions, pwede kayong magtanong. Ayun, nag-send si Naomi, try natin.
Share natin, Jess.
Yes, sige po. Ito yung drawing ni Naomi. Sige, try natin gumawa ng pattern with it. Share screen here. So, ito yung kanya. Try ko lang i-download Okay. Then, gumawa tayo ng pattern from it. Okay, download. And download. Nope. Ayan, nabuksan na siya. Alright. Okay, so for example, yung isa sa shinare ni Naomi, try natin siyang gawin ng pattern. There. So, paano ba
Nice.
natin ito pwede? Can make it white. Pwede. A bit darker is also fine. Pwede natin gawin siguro dito is maaaring yung lasso tool na ginawa natin kanina. Since hindi pa clear yung background. Although kapag clear yung background, syempre mas marami tayong pwede magawa. Or kapag nakapag-paint over na tayo doon sa dinrawing ni Naomi. Okay. There. So yung ginagamit ko ngayon is mouse. I'm not sure kung narinig niyo yung clicks. But ayun. So kapag wala kayong tablet, pwedeng traditional and then mag-mouse na lang kayo to select the object. Like so. Meron ding option na object selection, although hindi siya laging accurate kapag hindi clear yung photo. So I usually still use the lasso tool. Oops, meron palang leaves doon. Anyway, there. Sample lang naman. So, there. Okay. And then we create a new document to drag that into here. So for example, like that. Pwede rin nating baguhin yung color niya if we want to. Dito lang. So again, yung color balance, which is Control-B. Halimbawa, gusto natin siyang gawing mas warm, maaari. So ganyan yung gagawin natin. And then again, just duplicate the layer. Duplicate layer. Tapos, ang gagawin ninyo is, ito yung pinakasimpleng method. Punta kayo sa filter, other, offset, and then half of it. Tapos, pattern na siya by itself. And then, yung mas complicated, para dun sa mga mas advanced, and also ito yung para hindi lang siya nasa corner. Like, you can put it everywhere. Just go to view. And then pattern for view. Tapos, gawin ninyong smart objects. So, right-click and then convert to smart object yung inyong mga object. So, for example, this one, pwede ko siyang ilagay kahit saan. Sabihin natin dito. Then, gusto ko ring merong ganito dito. Sabihin natin ganyan siya. Ganyan yung pattern na gusto natin gawin. Here. Ganyan. Oops. There. And also one here. And then perhaps baka gusto niyo mag-drawing halimbawa ng mga lines, which is very common usually sa mga patterns. So try ko lang hanapin yung pen ko, gumulong siya. Ayun. So pwede nating i-select to halimbawa and then dun sa ibabaw na layer, ilalim ng lahat, sorry, pwede tayo mag-drawing ng something like this. So for example, mga ganyan. And then meron kang parang leaves sabihin natin. Or something like this. There. Meron ka ng pattern ulit. So again, very simple. Ang huwag niyo lang kakalimutan is edit and then define pattern. Tapos kung ano man yung pangalan ng pattern nyo. So halimbawa, this is Naomi's. So pangalan is Naomi. And then gusto ko siyang halimbawa gawin doon sa isang order. Kung gagawin ko lang again is this one. Add an adjustment layer, pattern, and then yung pattern ni Naomi, which is this one. And this one. So magagamit ko na yung pattern niya anywhere. There. So halimbawa meron akong presentation sa class. So that's just new. And then kung ano man yung usual. Ano ba yung usual na dimensions of it? Siguro try nating mag inches. Let's see. I think it's 10 by, was it 6 or 16 by 10? Create. So parang ganyan kunyari yung dimensions. So just insert it by adjustment, pattern, and then yung pattern ni Naomi kanina. Tapos kung gusto mo siyang ikutin, paliitin, or pwede rin namang palakihin. So there. Maaari nyo na siyang i-print or gamitin sa presentation. So that's another sample of it. Here naman. So thank you din kay Naomi and Gab sa pag-share ng kanilang mga nagawa. So ito yung isang sample ng pattern since nakapag-drawing si Naomi noong flower. So yun. Hopefully everything is clear. Mukhang wala namang questions. Maliban lang kung may questions si ma'am. Mukhang wala din naman. Later on pa daw siya gagawa. So, yeah, I think clear naman lahat po. And if you have questions, pwede kayo magpadala ng message sa chat. You can also email me if you want to, I guess. Especially more of you, most of you naman hindi ko magiging student for 126 and 166, which is yung mas ginagamit talaga yung applications and all that. I think we can end it there na po, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So thank you everyone for joining us. Tawag dito, we had a wonderful hour. Yeah, it's exactly 1 hour, Jess, no? Exactly 1 hour. And we look forward to seeing you again, no, in the next workshop for that's I mean next year's workshop. No, we promise to give you a variety of art forms. No, like last year we had mostly mga traditional painting, diba? Painting using acrylic, and then primarily acrylic, and then this year we have digital art. So then most likely next year we'll have something more traditional again. No, so looking forward to see you guys. And also tomorrow's the last day of our Flores de Mayo. So, and the culminating activity is the Dress Up Santa Cruzan. So, wonderful if we have entries, no, in the Dress Up Santa Cruzan. But if you don't have entries, because tapos na yung deadline for the entries, no, it's open to everyone, no. I mean, some people think kasi na parang lang siya, pwede, only if you have an entry can you join. But no, you can attend it and then join the fun, no? Masaya siya because you would see people who doing walking down walking quote unquote down the ramp, no? Also, we have invited 5 meron tayong 5 intermission. And one of them is a viral sensation, no, online, no, si Mix Phoenix. All right, so see you. Hope to see you again tomorrow. And thank you, Prof. Ms. Basco, no, for that wonderful workshop. We hope to have you again in the future Flores de Mayo festivals. No, so that's pretty much it. So let's all give Ms. Basco a round of applause, or kahit puso, pwede rin puso. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, say bye.
Yes, thanks for joining as well.
But I'm sorry, there's one more thing pala. Sorry, I almost forgot. I'm supposed to give you yung evaluation. Kahit siguro kunin ko lang yung evaluation ng nasa na yon. Kunin ko lang yung evaluation. Ba't nawala siya ngayon? Yeah, I just got the evaluation.
Chat na lang po siguro.
Yeah, just to the chat. Wait, I'm opening it. Hindi ko alam ba't siya nagsara kanina. Just give me 1 second. Ay, sorry, nasaan ito eh. Open number 1 pala. Jazz, any tip for people, for our friends here who would like to hone more their skill in digital arts?
Well, like any other thing po kasi it's just really practice and
Yeah.
practice. Just do it more
True,
and more. Intentionally, syempre. Sometimes, pero minsan naman pwede ka lang mag-drawing as you want. Pero sometimes kailangan meron kang intention na ito yung pag-aaralan ko for today, for example, how to blend shades. Pero minsan pwede ka lang din namang mag-drawing. And then just another tip in relation dun sa Flores de Mayo, syempre. So yung mga larawan, halimbawa, na ginamit ko kanina, kinuha ko lang din yun nung pumunta kami sa probinsya. So try nyo rin syempre na pumunta doon or kumuha ng larawan anywhere, kahit sa UP Manila, kung minsan merong mga halaman, di ba? Or yung pinagmula ng pangalan halimbawa ng Maynila, although hindi ko alam kung nasan, maaring kunan ng larawan. So take your own photos, lalo na kung hindi din kayo sanay mag-drawing. Digital art naman is not just drawing. Although isa yun sa method na pinakita ko. Maaari din naman siya yung photo, halimbawa, na ginamit natin kanina. And then, syempre, hindi na siya kasama for the workshop today, pero pwede nyo ring i-animate, halimbawa, yung mga, gaya ng Flores de Mayo na animation kanina. Pwede nyo ring pagalawin yung mga photos na makukuha ninyo, di ba? Ayun, at na-share na daw ni Ma'am Levy yung Prof. Labor, yung evaluation guide.
Yes, kindly fill up the guide, no? And the evaluation form. It would be a big help for us to constantly improve on what we do, no? So we can we will have a more fruitful, no, workshops in the future. So all right, so we try to maintain our workshops free, but the least we can ask from you are your suggestions, no, and how to make our activities more fruitful each year. So I hope you've downloaded the guide already, or the link. And with that, once again, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you,
Basco.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Ma'am Labor. Bye-bye.
Bye.